What's up, guys? Frugal BC today talking about Algorand's new CMO. That's right, we got a brand new chief marketing officer, and that chief marketing officer is coming out hot out of the gate, slamming Solana on his first day. I love it. We're going to dig into that today on today's Frugal BC, look at price, all that kind of good stuff. So stick with us. By the way, if you like this kind of content, please hit the like and subscribe button so you can see all our content. As I always say, you don't have to smash it, you can just press it gently. Also, want to give a shout out to non-fungible domains. If you want that .algo address after your name, makes it a lot easier than all those letters and numbers, makes a address way easier to use. You can get that on non-fungible domains, link in the description. And we are brought to you by Fractal Monsters, a play-to-earn game on the Algorand blockchain. It's kind of like Pokemon and Tamagotchi mixed together with a little bit of Smash Brothers. Check that out in the description below. Please give a shout out to both of our sponsors and support them as you would me. And we will get into this. Let's look into the Algorand's new CMO. A lot of course, it's something in Algorand, so it can't be non-controversial. It always has to be a little bit controversial. And the CMO is no different. So we're gonna look at who that is. We're gonna look at that announcement. What they did is they sort of had this person included in the Algorand podcast that is launching in April. So we'll kind of look at that, and they had a little blurred out section, and then when they announced his hiring, they filled it in. So he'll be on the podcast, and he's got some pretty big bona fides. He's been higher up at a lot of companies. And then they brought up this question that Coop Daniels kind of introduced: is the Algorand Foundation woke? Is this a woke hire? I don't know about that, but let's dig into all that. I don't think he said that exactly either. We'll dig into his comments, but let's look at this news. Before we do that, let's look at the Algorand price, because it ain't so great. So a lot of people call this head and shoulder pattern or whatever. I just don't think. I have no technical analysis. I just don't think is that useful personally. It always seems really descriptive, but as far as predicting anything, I've just not seen a lot of great evidence that it does. Sitting at under 24 cents right now. It's a little bit lower than it was even this morning when I took my tiny man rewards and reinvested. And it's kind of a bummer because we were at that. I mean, we were at like 32 cents pretty solidly at one point, and for a little bit, and pretty solidly above the 30 cents level for a while. Now we've kind of dropped back down, so that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, some people were saying those little green candle where we got up almost to 25 cents again. Some people were saying that was the CMO news. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of evidence that news really news really makes too much of a difference. It tends to these coins just tend to kind of follow Bitcoin, and Bitcoin does what it does. But let's look at the CMO news, because I think this is really interesting. So this is how they announced it. We're here to verify your guesses, introducing Verifiably Random, an original podcast by Algo Foundation. On the same note, we are pleased, hashtag, I don't know anything about that. Anyway, we are pleased to introduce the third mystery host and Algorand Foundation's new CMO, Marvel. And it's actually, did I actually say his name? Mark V. Well, we'll get into his resume in a second. But anyway, they say give Mark a warm welcome. First episode drops in April, and you'll get the chance to learn more about Mark's background from Android to AI, also Google, by the way, and now Algorand. Let's see what I think they kind of show it on here. So yeah, Mark Vanlerberg, and he's the new CMO. He replaces Jessica Chin, who I think by all accounts, John Woods kind of explained this on the show, just kind of didn't really perform the way Algorand Foundation had hoped. I think also not the way, I know definitely didn't perform the way a lot of the community had hoped. So Mark, we'll get into that. Mark's already been way more active on Twitter, and we'll cover that in a second. Mark made his name at Google, launching and building the Android brand and developer ecosystem, growing it to billions of users. So that's pretty impressive. He has over 20 years of executive marketing experience. More recently, he was CMO at Medallia, a leader in customer experience software, CEO of Rulai, an early stage AI company. He also serves as an advisor to several companies in the B2C and B2B technology spaces. That's business to consumer and business to business, and has been an LP and global expert with Blockchain Founders Fund for the past 2 years. So he knows blockchain too. I think that was one of the concerns with Jessica Chin, is she didn't really have a blockchain background. The fact that months after she was hired, she still isn't following anybody in Algorand, really wasn't active in the space. I just don't think crypto works like that. I mean, you wouldn't really expect the chief marketing officer to be very visible for say Nike or something like that. As far as I know anyway, Mostly if I see like Tesla news, I see Elon talking. If I see Nvidia, it's is it Huang is the guy's name? Can't remember now. We see him out there a lot talking, but you don't really hear from the chief. It's not like the chief marketing officer is going to battle on Twitter or anything. So interesting, because I thought my thoughts around Jessica were that, okay, the reason why this didn't work and why I wondered if it would in the beginning is because just because you're on a marketing team at Nike doesn't mean you had like a ton of involvement. I mean, it doesn't mean you were the one leading the charge, so to speak, right? So you might have helped contribute, but you didn't necessarily, like, you weren't the one saying, hey, here's an idea how we can grow this thing. Whereas I think like someone who is like the first marketing person at, whatever startup, even like an early Uber person or something, might have been like a really good pick, because they know how to be scrappy. They know how to go from 0 to 1. I mean, I think Algorand kind of want the 0 to 1. You don't want the 1 to 100 person, because we still need 0 to 1 at this point. It's really about getting Algorand's name out there, and that's a very different skill set. So I think he might be better, because he is kind of going from zero to 1. If he worked at Google, helped launch and build the Android brand. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So we'll show how I think he's already kind of being a little more effective. What does he say? He says, it's an exciting time to join the Algorand Foundation. The Algorand blockchain has been the fastest, most reliable, and scalable protocol. And with next week's Python launch, it is also the easiest way for developers to enter the blockchain world. By the way, really looking forward to that Python launch. Why is it a big deal? Because Python is the like number one language right now for coding. More coders in that language than any other. It's also a simple language. It's the only one I've had success in coding in myself. I also don't think it's a panacea. I think a lot more has to happen than just Python. I don't think it reduces friction, but that's not necessarily an attractant, if that makes sense. But it's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. All right, enough about that. Let's see. There's more to this, so let's dive in, because the new CMO is already going hard in the paint on Solana on day one. I like it. Let's show what happens here. Solana endgame. Solana endgame still has forks. Algorand today equals no forks. AlgoFam, what do you think? Let's help those poor Solana devs out. Python is coming. I love it. Throwing shots on day one at yesterday afternoon. I love it. Protestante says Algorand doesn't fork. I've tried. He's got a little, that's funny. I like that. Thought we're starting things off. Oh, damn. Yeah, see, I like this. I like that we got two of them. I think he means Woods and Dragon Ball Z. I like it. Yeah, I like that he's going after, I had someone say, I had a tweet just about Solana the other day. Someone's like, Solana's here to stay. This is Justin Bonds, by the way. He's like, yeah, Solana's here to stay. In fact, maybe I'll just show it. It says, everyone loves to hate Solana, not for what it is, but for what it was and represented it. Update your damn thesis. Sol is a different beast now. No, it isn't. So stop with the BS criticisms and recognize Sol for what it has become. We should praise Sol for carrying the L1 torch of freedom. So I said, okay, and I linked to this story about Solana failed transactions exceed 70%. And, even before it was 70%, they were just ridiculously bad. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you know what? It goes up. The coin price goes up. I don't get it. I've bought some Solana so I could take profits, which I have. It's one of my few coins that I'm in. I'm actually in Moonbag territory. So great. Also, I did order Lavazza coffee. Oh, I spelled it wrong at first, I think. Lavazza coffee, because it's operating on the Algorand blockchain. So that's cool. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I think that's interesting. That he's being pretty aggressive. Now, one other thing I want to talk about is, okay, kidding me again? Here we go. Coop Daniels had put out this post about the Algorand Foundation being very left-leaning, and I think he was, I do think that's factually true, and he wasn't necessarily saying it's a good and bad thing, kind of put a mixed case, but it did kind of get a lot of attention, so let's take a look. Yeah, so he says, this isn't a hit piece, just facts. Algorand Foundation, okay, he did say Algorand Foundation specifically, sorry about that. Algorand Foundation is clearly on the political left. Silvio is a colleague of Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler coined the phrase, you can build Uber on top of it. And what he means by this, in case you don't know, Gary is very much aligned with left-leaning politicians, and now is against crypto at the behest of those left-leaning politicians for some reason. When at one point, yeah, he coined the phrase, you can build Uber on top of it. He was talking about Algorand, by the way. Stacey Warden, Milken Institute, etc. She's clearly left-leaning. Partnership with Clinton Foundation, Hillary Clinton. I know that made a lot of controversy. Head of India, long history in working in Democratic administrations, worked in Clinton, Obama admins alongside Gary Gensler. Oh, is he talking? Okay, so he's talking about whoever the head of India is. I mean, that's fine. New CMO, just take a timeline scroll. And then people did make something of that because he did have Ukrainian flag, which, is, I don't think it necessarily has to be, but it seems to have become sort of a signal of the left. Again, I don't really understand it. I think Russian invasion is probably bad, no matter whatever, invasion of a NATO aligned and not a NATO country. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. Of course, green initiatives, inclusion efforts, etc., all indicate political leaning. Is this bad? Depends on what your objective is. It's unlikely to be good for sentiment amongst crypto faithful on X, but it may indicate they have correct relationships for mass adoption on global and government scale. I think that's a solid analysis. I mean, I was trying to think, like, do I have any bones about this? And I really don't. I think he just made a pretty straightforward analysis. He kind of gave the bull and bear case. Like, the bad part is, like, yeah, it kind of, I think in crypto, I've noticed crypto tends to kind of lean right/libertarian. So a very left-leaning crypto company could probably put some people off. But I've also noticed a lot of the people in Algorand don't necessarily seem to care about that. So that's something. Oops, really, I hadn't screen shared. Sorry about that. But also, yeah, it probably does give them maybe a leg up. But then SEC, the SEC named Algorand when they were talking about coins that may be securities. So it didn't really seem to do them a lot of good there. So there's a lot of back and forth you could go into this, but I think it's very interesting. Now, Stacy disagrees. Let's see, Ramakoop said, "Hey guys, I would really, really like to have one part of my life stay out of the stupid political division that plagues our entire planet right now. Can we please, as a community, be better than that, not start complaining about things we don't like because it fits our current definition of political?" Which I don't think that's what Coop was getting at. I don't think he was trying to make it a political issue, but it is a pretty obvious observation. Right. Also, the idea that, this is Stacy Warden, the CEO of Algorand, says, also the idea that I would hire anybody based on political views as opposed to experience, history, strategic ideas, and especially Chops, is pretty insulting. Not for the first time, though. Thanks to everyone giving him more than one day of kindness here. And let's see, what did he say? Professional actors in the room know this. Well, I mean, I don't think, here's what I would say about this, that they would exclusively look at candidates. The idea that they would exclusively look at candidates because they're left-leaning, probably not. But there could be some implicit bias in the sense that if you're left-leaning, you might tend to look more favorably at a candidate that's left-leaning without even realizing it. I mean, it's entirely possible. I'm not saying that's what happened here, or even that should really matter too much. He seems like he can, I like what he's doing already so far. So, as far as I'm concerned, I kind of don't care about the politics of it. I also feel the same as Rand, like way too much is already political. So I'm kind of annoyed about that. But yeah, already some interesting stuff going on with the CMO. But that's how it goes sometimes, and I think this is a positive thing. I think his hiring is a positive thing. We'll see. I always wait and see on this stuff because you never know for sure. But it seems like he's off to a good start. There was already some concerns at this point from Jessica because she wasn't following anybody. She didn't seem to be active on Twitter, which normally for CMO, I wouldn't, like, of a big company, I wouldn't care for so much. But in crypto, it just doesn't work that way. You have to be active. I think the Algorand Foundation is figuring that out. So we'll see. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about the new CMO. What do you think about his attack on Solana there right out of the gate? I thought that was cool, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Frugal BC. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the future.